So it's gonna be a weird one. I'm on this side when I'm usually on that side.
Remember the Titans when they had strong side, left side?
Yeah.
Does that make me strong side?
I guess. I don't care.
That's big.
Yeah.
Oh, I have my headphones still on. You sound good, by the way.
First of all, I'm Paul.
I'm Saul.
And the topic today is about whether or not the city of Valparaiso is dying, and should the members of and people who live in Valparaiso and Niceville and Blue Water Bay care?
Yeah. I think the answer, of course, is yes, but I also think that there are some hard truths that are going to have to come to the fore. I did my master's thesis on this very much in the merger camp. Valparaiso, as it currently exists, is not sustainable. And I think, Paul, you've not recently come around to that, but you've articulated it well, and we've put it into an op-ed that's going to drop, and we'll put a link to it here. But you should care because it's your money,
Sure.
essentially. And let's kind of like talk about why this issue has come up and what it means for you, the taxpayer.
No, that's good. So first of all, disclaimer, all the city council members and the commissioners who are involved, they're doing everything they can, and I think they're making a lot of really good decisions. But like, this is just a systemic, I got to say that word right, systemic issue that has been going on for decades and is just continuing to go on. And so, Christopher's going to summarize some of the high level concerns. I care because I'm one of the few people who actually own property in Valparaiso, Niceville, and Blue Water Bay. And I like to think of the entire area as one big family. And I don't want to see the people of Valparaiso and the landowners there treated any differently than the ones in Niceville and Blue Water. So
here's the deal. The city of Valparaiso has increased its tax rate something like 78% over the last 20 years. That's the rate, not the actual amount of money brought in. You're paying a lot more in taxes per dollar of value on your house than you are anywhere else in the county, but especially against the city of Niceville. And so you're paying more, but you're getting less because the city has, when it comes down to zoning, right, single-family housing is not as lucrative for the city to tax because you have homestead exemptions, all these other things. And what that means is that essentially they don't have enough money to run services. So police department, fire department, roads, all these things that make a city and make it worth investing in, they have to charge people more as individuals, and they can't get as much out of it. And you
wrote about this, right?
I've written about this.
Historically, the city of Valparaiso over the last few years has leaned heavily on Niceville for its fire department and rescue. There's also been instances where there's been major maintenance issues in Valparaiso, and Niceville has jumped across with its maintenance folks to support.
And just one example is the city of Niceville's fire department has given fire protection, helped support fire protection in the city of Valparaiso over the last 6 years. Well, they've done that at a loss to the city of Niceville. So if you're Niceville, you've effectively subsidized the city of Valparaiso's fire protection for the last 6 years. And the city of Valparaiso's residents have essentially just not had to pay it. They haven't had to foot the bill. You've had to foot the bill for their decision to not have a fire department. And what we're arguing is that, they have higher taxes. They're still getting subsidized by the city of Niceville. And essentially at this meeting that they had here on Monday to talk about buying more land from the Air Force, they said that their leadership said, basically, if they don't do something like buy more land to get more taxable properties on the rolls, there's not going to be a Valparaiso in some set period of time. Is that 10 years, 20 years? I don't know. But essentially they're saying we need to get more people into the city so that we can get more tax revenue so that we can cover all of these services. And I think what Paul and I are saying is that that's not the right way to go about it. We do need to get this land into Valparaiso just because A, we need more housing, but B, we do need to have some more taxable revenue. But relying on these pieces of land, which I'll show you on the map, they're kind of close to the Valparaiso City Cemetery, and putting single-family housing on it is not going to cut it. And we're going to be in the same position, in 20 years. And essentially, this land at market rate is worth about $40 million. The city of Valparaiso's total revenues were $9 million for this coming year.
And I think we're only keeping like 10 to 20% in reserves, right? Yeah. So they have somewhere between $1 and $2 million in reserves for things like hurricanes and other major maintenance issues.
And so what this means for people that live in the city of Valparaiso is you could see taxes continue to go up. I mean, it's been proven they've gone up in the past, but the people in Niceville are not going to be like, whoa, it's not our city, so it's not our problem. It's demonstrably our problem at this point. We have continued to provide services that way. And so ultimately what we're saying is that while this purchase of land seems necessary, it doesn't make sense under the current situation we have, where we have two cities in an unincorporated area. And so, Paul, tell us a little bit more about your op-ed and how you hope that this problem could get fixed.
Yeah, I mean, I think, first of all, again, just to reiterate, I think the City of Commissioners in Valp are making some very, very good decisions in regards to trying to fix this problem. And unfortunately, some of them are Band-Aids, but I think for the most part, like, they're things that are headed in the right direction. Okaloosa Gas, new headquarters being built there. There's going to be rental income that comes from that will also flow down into taxes for the city. They've taken a few lots along major routes that were like Government Avenue, for example, that were zoned residential and allowed them to be zoned commercial. They're much more open to redevelopment on lots that have deteriorated or buildings that have deteriorated. And so I think they're making like really good decisions in that regard. They're also allowing for multifamily to be built in things that will help the rent rolls or the tax rolls. So I think all of those things are really, really good ideas. And I think buying the land is also a really good idea. But you don't buy a house when you don't have a good down payment, or you don't buy a house when land when you don't have the money to invest and develop it. And to be honest, it feels like a Hail Mary because the federal government just takes a long time, and this isn't a sure thing. And so counting on it is not something that I think the city of Valparaiso can afford.
Valparaiso city administrator said that they've been working on this idea for 15 years, and he doesn't think that it'll be done in his lifetime. And so that's essentially what the city is hoping will bring in enough revenue to make ends meet. And while it would be nice to have, you can't, like you said, count on it.
Yeah.
So that kind of brings us to our thesis that we have at this point, which is we need to see a merger. We need to see aggressive action from local leaders to merge these cities, bring in and provide economies of scale that are fair to everybody, fair to the Niceville residents who are helping to subsidize fire taxes, and fair to the Valparaiso residents who are paying more per square foot on their homes for taxes. And mergers like that are hard. There can be egos involved.
Sure.
But at the end of the day, we think it's the best move for the citizens because it reduces the tax burden. It increases efficiency. It allows people to see services go over, from imaginary lines that we've made up ourselves.
Right.
So whether that's, consolidating the policing structure, whether that's consolidating water and sewer and fire, which, by the way, both cities have a really hard time finding people to hire for public works jobs.
Yeah.
So if you can merge that and make it more efficient so that you have fewer people doing the same amount of work or doing more work, that's a win for those people on the ground as well. Nobody's losing their job, that kind of thing.
Yep. And as much as we'd like, let's be honest, if you're in Valp or you're in Niceville or you're in Blue Water Bay, as much as you would like to think maybe that you are an independent entity, we're all going to the same schools. We're all going to the same parades. We're all going to the same churches. Our kids are playing in the same sports leagues. We are one community. And it just seems sort of silly that we're operating in this split fashion.
I saw a guy that was at the Valparaiso City Commission meeting on Monday when I was voting, and he was early voting at the city of Niceville City Hall. I mean,
Right.
The biggest argument when I come in and I talk about something like this is people say, well, there's totally different cultures. And I don't want to be the guy to tell you this, but like all the lieutenant colonels in Valparaiso know all the lieutenant colonels in Niceville, and all the business owners know all the business owners in either city and Blue. To say that we have different cultures, it's not like, between the United States and Mongolia. Like,
right. The differences aren't that different. And there are cultural things in Valp that, that they enjoy, that they claim as their own. And I don't think any of those things have to go away. And I don't even think the name Valparaiso needs to go away. Mm-hmm. I just think there's some economies of scale from a budgetary perspective that could occur, that could lower the taxes in Valp. We could all work together on developing the land that hopefully comes to fruition from the federal government in Eglin to better the entire community. And, again, I think the city of Valp is doing a lot of great things, mm-hmm. and I just think they need to take a bigger step, and it's going to take a huge leap of faith to be able to push that ball forward.
Well, like you said, it's a systemic issue. You can't get 5 commissioners together and expect them to solve something that's this big. Having 2 cities together provides you everything from better access to funding to pay $44 billion.
Sure.
Because the Air Force is not going to give Eglin land they're not going to give away that land for free. They just won't. It's not in their policies. You can look at what Okaloosa County has done with the Air Force, and they will pay out. They will have to pay out in order to get that land. And
Well, and the city of Niceville is already doing things with the military as well for the Mullet Fairgrounds. And so there seems to be a lot of independent conversations that are happening that could be under one jurisdiction. And we haven't even touched on the value of merging all three areas together and then going to the state legislature for additional funding for parks and downtown areas and different benefits and even infrastructure upgrades and those type of things. There's definitely some value in going to the state level together as a larger entity.
And when you look at Niceville, which is technically 17,000 people, nobody at the state legislature cares about 17,000 people. Not really. I mean, there's too many bigger problems in bigger cities that have bigger constituencies. If you look at even our state representative's district, Pat Maney's district includes us, right? We're 17,000 people in the city specifically, but he has upwards of 150,000 people he's responsible for. So you're asking him to care out of proportion for 10% of those people. Right. But if you take the city of Valparaiso, the city of Niceville, and Blue Water Bay, that's close to 45,000, 50,000 people. And that's a third of his constituency. Right. All of a sudden, it's in his interest to pay extra special attention to what the constituents of that area need because they're united together. Not that he doesn't care, right? But it is automatically more of a prurient interest to him and to his staff to prioritize that kind of stuff. And so we are leaving money and goodwill and willpower on the table when we don't merge.
And growth is happening, right? Niceville is going to have Deer Moss Creek. Valp hopefully gets this land, this 80 to 100 acres that they can develop. And so the area is going to grow. And it just seems to me that there's too many pluses to ignore bringing our community together underneath one jurisdictional group.
And we have the added bonus of being able to more concretely and strategically plan where we're going to put multifamily housing, which we desperately need for affordable housing. More commercial space in Valparaiso, which people have been crying for forever. Right. And we're also allowing ourselves as a united front to talk to the Air Force and Eglin Air Force Base in real terms and say to them, look, you guys have plenty of land on base, and we're happy about that.
Yeah.
But when you want to, for example, work with the school district to put another elementary school on 20 acres in Valparaiso and take away that from the tax rolls, that's a serious issue for the city of Valparaiso. It needs that money to pay for.
Now your 100 acres go to 80 acres.
Exactly. So now you're automatically working with cut rate when you could put something on Eglin Air Force Base.
Yeah.
Or as Bob Batchelor, the head of the Planning and Zoning Commission in Valparaiso said, everybody and their brother could live on Eglin Air Force Base at one point in the 70s. And they knocked down all that housing, which I get,
They wanted to privatize it.
And that's great.
And base mission, yeah.
They've also said we need more people to live close to base. And when you do that and you basically just shove your problem onto the city without any recourse, that's a significant issue for city planners and developers. And if we don't present a united front, essentially they can get away with it, right? Because they have 3-year rotations. They have to do their job. They have to do their fiduciary responsibility to the base and to the Air Force. But nobody's looking out for the people that are retired military or live here independently. And again, that's their job. I mean, I would not want them to do anything else, but that also means that we need to provide a counterbalance.
What do you guys think? I mean, we're going to push really hard out on Mid-Bay News, not only on YouTube, but on Facebook and other socials. Like, we would love your comments. Are we completely off base here? Is this something people are actually worried about?
We're willing to be wrong, by the way.
And I'm willing to be told I'm wrong. I would love to hear more people's opinions on it. I would love to hear somebody's opinion who lives in Blue Water Bay. Maybe they think they already live in Niceville and they don't understand the difference. Would love to hear what somebody in Valp, thinks about that and what their concerns are. So leave the comments. Leave the comments on the op-ed. Leave the comments here on YouTube and leave them on Facebook too.
Wherever you see it. Yeah. We want to be told we're wrong because we don't have all the answers, and we're sure that the collective wisdom of large crowds gives better answers than just the two of us shouting into mics or speaking appropriately with volume into mics. So please do. We want to hear what you have to say and why this plan won't work. Because iron sharpens iron, and as we refine stuff, it gets better. So please leave comments. Maybe don't make
constructive
comments. Derogatory, but I'm willing to take the odd derogatory comment if I get a couple of good ones.
Sure. Well, I mean, that leads us to the end of our show that we always say is be nice, Niceville. And in this case, be nice, Valp, and be nice, Blue Water Bay.
Yeah. Thanks, guys. Love you all.